Adana sat in her hut, plucking fresh green vegetables. She was about to stand up when she heard hurried footsteps approaching. Adana! Adana! Oji, her younger brother called out, panting heavily as he reached her. His eyes were wide with urgency. She quickly dropped the vegetables. What is it, Oji? She asked, already feeling uneasy. You are needed in the palace. It's urgent. Without another word, Adana took off running toward the palace. When she arrived at the palace, she found the entire village gathered. The air was thick with murmurs and anxious whispers. In the center of the gathering, the royal Dibia stood, his long staff planted firmly in the ground. He raised a hand, and silence fell. Only one thing can save Prince Obina, the Dibia announced in a deep, solemn voice. One person, brave enough, must journey into the forbidden forest tonight to fetch water from Uli River using the sacred white pot. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The forbidden forest was deadly enough during the day, but at night, it was a place of restless spirits and unseen dangers. Adana clenched her fists, stepping forward. I will go. The villagers gasped again, murmuring in disbelief. Adana's father pushed through the crowd and grasped her hands. His eyes were red with fear. No, my daughter, you cannot do this, he cried. It is too dangerous. If anything happens to you, how will I live? Tears welled up in Adana's eyes, but she stood firm. Father, Obina needs me. The village needs me. I must do this. Just then, the king rose from his throne. His voice carried over the crowd, silencing them. Adana, if you succeed, Obina will take you as his wife and care for your family for the rest of your days. The villagers murmured once more, but Adana's father turned away, shaking his head. He could not bear to lose her, yet he knew her spirit was unbreakable. The Dibia stepped forward, handing Adana a small clay pot, pure white with ancient carvings. You must never let this pot touch the ground, not even for a second, he warned. Or else, the water will lose its power. Adana nodded. She turned toward the path leading to the forbidden forest. The villagers watched in silence as she disappeared into the darkness. Adana entered the forbidden forest. Every step she took sent chills down her spine. Her grip on the pot tightened. She followed the path marked by white stones, as the Dibia had instructed. After what felt like hours, she reached Uli River. The river glowed with an eerie blue light, its waters unnaturally still. Taking a deep breath, Adana knelt at the riverbank, carefully dipping the pot into the water. As soon as the pot was full, the water inside shimmered like silver. Suddenly, the wind howled, and the river began to ripple violently. Shadows moved in the trees. A low, whispering voice surrounded her. Leave this place, or stay forever. Adana clutched the pot tighter, lifting it onto her head. I am not afraid, she shouted into the night. The whispers grew louder, but Adana did not stop. She turned and ran, her feet pounding against the forest floor. The shadows followed her, their whispers turning into hissing laughter. Branches reached for her, the trees seeming to shift in her path. But she dodged them all, her eyes fixed on the exit. Adana sprinted the rest of the way home. The villagers were waiting at the entrance of Ojuma, torches in hand. When they saw Adana emerge from the darkness, still carrying the pot, a cheer erupted. She rushed straight to the palace. The Dibia and the king were waiting. Obina still lay motionless on a mat, his breathing shallow. Carefully, while balancing the pot on her head, Adana dipped a cloth into the sacred water and wiped Obina's face, hands, and feet. Obina did not wake up until the third day. Obina's fingers twitched. His chest rose and fell with a deep breath. And then, his eyes fluttered open. The entire palace erupted in joy. Drums sounded, voices lifted in celebration. Messengers ran to spread the news. Adana, who had been sitting outside, heard the commotion. Her heart leaped, and she ran into the palace. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to embrace him.